Hi there, it's Jeff
And Cassandra.
from RV Parenting, and let's be honest, we've got the blues.
Big time blues. I was literally putting on my makeup this morning and started tearing up over what we're experiencing right now. But I'll let Jeff kind of get you started on what happened.
Taking your RV to the shop is inevitable if you own an RV. It's just going to happen. It even happened to us once while we were renting an RV, and we had to rent a Suburban to finish our trip. Just kind of goes with the territory of owning an RV. But we've been waiting what seems like forever to get our RV back, and it's totally bumming us out. Take it from here. I can't speak. I just can't.
He's so sensitive sometimes. So we had a couple of things going on. When we first took the RV out on our month-long trip to everywhere in the southern states and then throw in New Mexico on top of that, the slide out, we had issues with the slide out. So that was a manufacturer issue.
The first day we camped in our brand new RV, the slide out, one of the roller wheels popped out the first day.
Which is crazy because when we were actually doing the walkthrough with our RV, I specifically said, let's look at the slide outs because I've read some reviews that the Newmar sometimes on occasion, that's been one of the biggest complaints from consumers.
I will say though, the good news is slide out still continued to work fine, missing one of its rollers. I believe it has 4 or 5, and so it still worked fine with one of those missing. I just had to pry it free from underneath the floorboard in order to get that to happen.
It was nuts. We were in Lubbock. We thought we were going to be stuck there. I was like, no, I don't want to be stranded in Lubbock. But we got through that mess. Then we lost our antenna getting to Jeff's mom's driveway. A tree took it out. So we had to get that replaced.
I just like how you say antennae or whatever you said.
Why are you making fun of me? Anyway, gosh. Like I'm not going through enough right now.
Deep breaths.
So the antenna came off. Jeff had to saw these tree branches off, and it still managed to knock it off. And then we received a recall notice from Newmar that there was a valve on our gas.
Our propane tank.
That if it came loose, people were smelling gas, which you know can be deadly. So we had all these issues going on. We took it in on January 15th, and that's about a 2-hour trip one way, so round trip 4 hours. So we stayed the night on Friday night, dropped it off Saturday, and then came back home. We were told it would be about 4 to 6 weeks. It's now March 9th, and we haven't even heard from them. So we're kind of a little bit lost on what's going on with our RV and just a lot of chaos between now and then
and we were really clear when we dropped it off that, hey, we have a spring break trip planned in our RV. Will it be ready by then? And we were assured that it would absolutely be ready weeks before then.
This was my 40th birthday too. This isn't like some small celebration. It's like, no, 40th birthday, we're going to be in the RV with our family, living our best lives. All of our daughter's friends were going to be at the campground. It was just going to be loads of fun. And we ended up having to cancel that, but we'll get into that later.
Anyway, we are aware that we had what Texans here are calling Snowpocalypse. And that was a few weeks ago as of the time of this recording. There was kind of a freak snowstorm, almost a blizzard, at least in Texas terms. Temperatures were in the single digits, which has virtually never happened. I'm a native Texan, so virtually never happens here in the central Texas area. Flights were canceled. Thousands of flights were canceled.
The entire state of Texas was just done.
So we are aware that probably had a factor in the delays in getting our RV fixed. The biggest issues for us are really the poor communication. We haven't been able to reach them. We've left messages. We've talked to one person who said that somebody else would call us back, and just a lot of headaches and run around and still no answers.
Yeah, and with the canceling of the spring break is a lot of locations where you're going to have your RV during significant holidays is they're not going to refund you. They're going to give you a credit. So now we have this expensive credit to use some other time during the year. Some places only give you 3 months to use it. Some give it 6 months. We were fortunate the place we were going gave us a full year to use it. And my biggest issue with Holiday World is I told them, this is a really big deal that we get this done. Mm-hmm. And so the lack of communication has been incredibly frustrating. It's just calling and then being told their phone system was messed up. And it's not what we were told in the beginning when we made our purchase. And again, like Jeff mentioned, we had this huge Texas shutdown. The entire state, every bit of it was shut down. So we're understanding of that part. But
that would maybe account for 2 extra weeks of delays.
It's just not calling and talk. Like, all relationships work when you clearly communicate wants and needs.
And to be fair, right before the snowpocalypse, when everybody knew it was coming, they did call me and ask if I wanted to pay extra to winterize the RV. in their shop, and we did do that, so at least there won't be any of those headaches when we do eventually pick
Which
it
is
up.
great, but however, that benefits Holiday World. How's
Right.
that, and it benefited us too, but where's the further communication since then? So
Right.
there's that.
In looking and preparing for this video, one of the things that I did is I wanted to kind of get an idea of like, how long do repairs take on average? And obviously there's a wide variety of things that you might need to get fixed on your RV. A slide out is one thing, collision damage is one thing, faulty appliances, electrical. There's all kinds of different things in your RV, and all of those things will take different amounts of time. However, on average, RV repairs really only take about 2 to 3 weeks. And here we are on the verge of it approaching 8 weeks. So we are well over average here, and we're well past their own deadline that they gave us.
I will say in our situation, the recall was the biggest setback. They had our slide out and antenna fixed, but then they were waiting on the recall parts, and it's been crickets since they winterized the RV. And I think that's something kind of take into consideration is recall. When did they get the recall? What parts are missing, and when are they going to get that shipped to the the place where you purchased your RV? And I don't think we could have done anything differently, honestly. We did everything we were supposed to do. We took it in 2 months before we actually needed it, knowing that there was a possibility of delays, because these things happen. Jeff and I like to think that if you give somebody 2 weeks, maybe stretch it to 3 weeks, just because life is life and it's unpredictable. So I don't think there's anything we could have done differently. When you go looking at reviews of where you're going to buy your RV, Jeff and I have become experts at reviews, and we've noticed that on Google you'll really find really positive, happy experiences from people. If you want the opposite approach, the critical eye, you're going to go to Yelp. So when you're going to make an RV purchase or go in for repairs, do both. Look at Google for the people that are probably a little bit more like us, well, a little bit more like me, because Jeff's got that.
I do have the critical eye.
But there's that balance. Like, okay, well, not all things are going to be awful, so I want to look at that side of it. But Yelp is like, no, this is that dirty stuff behind the refrigerator that you don't realize is there. Like, that's what Yelp is good at finding.
And on Yelp, it's worth pointing out that Holiday World in Katy, Texas, where our RV is currently sitting, on Yelp, I think they only have about 2.5 stars, so it's not very good.
Compared to Google,
yeah,
which
what's their
had
Google rating?
Well, Google had over 1,000 ratings, and their star rating was 4.3. So that's a big discrepancy there.
Yeah.
2 and a 4. I don't
But
know.
most of the reviews I read on Yelp were actually complaints about service in their department. One woman even was complaining that her RV had been in their service department over a year, which is insane.
So you're paying, the second mortgage essentially, and not enjoying any of the benefits of having an RV.
And I mean, frankly, I would sue them long before it hit the 1-year mark. Hopefully we don't have to do that.
But this is Jeff's Beef and Rants. This is where I come in and say, it's all right, it's going to work out.
So we're bummed out. We had to completely change our spring break plans. Luckily, we made some great spring break plans. They just won't be in our RV. We do have a big summer trip planned, so Holiday World, you guys better get it together long before then.
And I think they will.
But anyway, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, please. It'll help the algorithm, YouTube's algorithm, to show our videos to more people just like you. If you have a comment about something you'd like to see in a future video, leave us that down below as well. But for now, we'll see you in the next video.